Hi guys, Samantha here from Lone Crow Adventures, the channel where we talk about all things camping, hiking, and backpacking. It is almost spring, which means you guys are probably looking for some new gear for the 2020 season. Let me tell you what my top budget headlamp pick is for 2020. It is the Vont Spark Headlamp. Let's go. So before we get going, I thought I would just kind of give you a little bit of background on the company Vont before we get started. As of course I stated in the intro of this video, it's a budget headlamp. So this is a headlamp for maybe someone who is a first-time backpacker or someone who's considering buying headlamps for their kids to go out for casual camping, or heck, maybe you're even doing some car camping and you want to have a headlamp so that you can make those s'mores around the campfire at night with greater ease. If that person is you, then this headlamp is definitely right up your alley. So it's not going to be the type of headlamp that someone like a thru hiker or a very long distance hiker would be interested in. This is more of a headlamp that would be selected for your weekend warrior or somebody that's going out for the weekend. So before we get into that, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the company Vont. So you may or may not be familiar with Vont as a company. The company itself has been around since 2014, and initially they got their entry into the outdoor market by focusing on cycling lights. In 2014, they actually won Amazon's top award for top bike light. So the company's got a little bit of credibility from that vantage point. Since that time, they've started expanding their enterprise, and they now make headlamps, flashlights, and camping lanterns, all of which are pretty decent quality for a good budget price. I'm going to introduce you today to the Vont Spark Headlamp, which is a budget headlamp that really packs some performance. So this is the Vont Spark Headlamp. This is a really nice headlamp. It's really comfortable to wear. It has this really nice stretchy headband, and it stays in place really well when you wear it. The head features a pivot that pivots to 45 degrees, so that way you can bring that light down when you're using it and wanting it to shine right on the ground, or if you want to focus it down while you're reading a book or looking at a map in the dark, that's really helpful. And it has several different modes, which I will show you next. Alright, so this is a close-up of the Vont headlamp, and I'll show you the pivot action here. It pivots open to 45 degrees, and that's also how you change the batteries. This little thing clicks open, and then you have access to 3 AAA batteries in here. Click that shut, pop it back into position, and this way you can angle that light the way that you want to. Alright, so these are the 3 modes. We have low, medium, high, and then we have a strobing action. And we can turn it off there. Now it also has a red light mode. We'll hold it on. Then we have the 2 side lights. You can see they light up with red. We have a red distress SOS. And then we have a rapidly flashing red light SOS signal. And then to get it back onto the regular light, you just hold it again, and then it turns back on to the regular settings. So one of the things that you guys probably noticed from the video is that when I turn the light on, you notice that it looks like it's flashing. This is actually a solid light. How I get the flashing is I click it on, I click 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is the strobe flashing. What you notice when I'm turning it on here and how it appears like it's flickering, that's actually just a reaction between the frequency of this light and the frame rate of the camera lens has a reaction with LED lights and causes almost like this flickering look, but this is actually a solid light. So I'm going to show you guys a shot of what this light looks in the 3 different intensity settings at night. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the different brightness settings and the difference so you can tell. This is the first brightness setting, so you can see that against the trees. Here's the second. There we go. There's the second brightness setting. And there is the third brightness setting. And I would say I'm standing, about a good 25 feet from this tree. And it is illuminating. I can look all the way up that tree And then again, all the way down, you can clearly follow that light, and you can see the light across the ground. Very, very bright on that brightest setting. All right, so let's talk about some of the specifications of the Vont Spark headlamp. We'll start with weight. The weight on the headlamp is 1.6 ounces. Now, when you open it up and you add the 3 AAA batteries it takes to power it, it brings the weight up to 2.9 ounces. But the battery life on this headlamp is excellent. It actually supersedes what the manufacturer lists as being the battery time. They list 3 hours on high mode, 8 hours on low mode. I found that I was able to operate this well over 5 hours on high mode and over 10 hours on low mode. So it's actually a longer battery life than what the manufacturer has recommended. In terms of lumens, on high mode, you're going to get 200 lumens of power through this headlamp. And this headlamp has been drop tested up to 10 feet, and it has a waterproofing rating of IPX5. And what that IPX5 rating means is that water can come in from multiple different directions, and it's not going to affect the operation of this headlamp. And that's really crucial when it comes to looking at waterproof ratings on headlamps, because as you know, when you have the headlamp on your head, water isn't necessarily coming straight down when it's raining. It could be blowing in from the side. It could be kind of whirling around. It could be misting. So it's important to have that IPX5 rating, meaning that you could take this headlamp off, you could leave it sitting sideways on a log or a rock and not have to worry that the water is going to get in here and damage it, because it doesn't matter how the headlamp is oriented, it's going to remain water resistant in those conditions. So that's a really, really important rating. Really superior product. I am really impressed with this, especially as a budget headlamp. This is a great option. Alright guys, I've been testing this headlamp in some cold conditions. It's below freezing, it's about 29 degrees, and it is snowing, so we're getting some moisture conditions with the Vont headlamp as well, and so far it's held up really well. I have been testing this for over an hour. It has not faded in brightness. It's remained comfortable, it's remained stationary. I'm really impressed with this headlamp so far. So it's time to put this thing on so I can model it for you guys. Really easy to get on and in position. And what I really like about this headlamp, 2 things about wearing it. Number 1, when I'm wearing a beanie like this, a lot of times headlamps will kind of almost push the beanie down, and it feels like the beanie's falling down over my eyes and I feel like I can't see. I don't have that problem with this headlamp. In fact, it seems to help hold the beanie in place and secure. And a lot of times when I wear headlamps with beanies, I find that's a particular problem. When I wear them with baseball caps, not so much of a problem, but with a beanie, definitely a problem. So I was really happy to find that this fits really, really nicely around some of my winter headwear. The other thing I really like about the fit is that I can really thrash my head around. This thing is not going anywhere. And it's not one of those headlamps that is cinched so tight around my head that I feel like it's squeezing my head and giving me a headache. It's just nice and firm. It feels secure, but it feels like it's almost part of my body at the same time in terms of the level of comfort. I'm really, really impressed with the performance of this headlamp. Now, where it does lose some points for me is basically in 2 areas. The first, there's no lockout mode on this headlamp. And I do have a workaround for that. If you were going to throw this in your pack, what I would recommend is that you open this up, open up that battery pack, and then just take out one of these batteries and flip it around the opposite way. So that way it doesn't go off on you in your pack. There is no lockout mode, and for that reason, it loses some points. You don't want to get to camp after hiking all day and realize you don't have any juice left in your headlamp. So just pop out one of your batteries, flip it around backwards, and you're good to go. The other thing that I found slightly annoying with this headlamp, when I turn my headlamp on, I generally like to be full power on the first push. With this one, when you turn it on, it goes light, medium, and then super blast power. I want to be on super blast power during the first click. I didn't really like that I had to click through the 2 lower settings to get to the highest setting. I want it to be on super blast high as soon as I fire this thing on. But that's just my preference. That's honestly a really small detail with this headlamp. But I was really impressed with the performance of this. I'm going to put a link down in the description below if you guys are looking for a budget headlamp or you're looking for a headlamp for your kids. This is a great option to consider as we're moving through the 2020 camping season. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time to check out the Vont Spark Headlamp review. If you're interested in purchasing this product, I've put some links in the description below. You can go ahead and check it out. In the meantime, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. There's some great stuff on this channel. And since you're still hanging around, you may as well check out another video. Until next time, folks, we'll see you on the trail.